Hey, welcome. It's the Learning Drummer channel again. This is the second musicality video for we're going to have exercises for the drum set player. So that said, it starts off with a kind of addendum or add-on to the first one. So you still take your original beat that you were creating in your first video, and now I want you to add roughs, flams, grace notes, whatever you want to make it more musical. Now, remember, the whole point to musicality is instilling emotion into the music. So how you add those things is not there to show off your abilities and skills, but it's there for you to add emotion into the music. That's the key. That's what we're supposed to be practicing throughout all of these exercises. Other than the fact that you're also learning how to possibly read or how to possibly ingest a chart, which is upcoming, or how you're going to have the skills to be able to produce the emotional input into your drum set playing. So here's a quick video on how to add some of those little flares, if you will. All right, so we've talked about adding notes. Let's talk about subtracting. Subtracting notes or adding rests are extremely important. The rest is a lot of times what makes the drum set playing so effective. I had a friend of mine back in Berkeley that was a bass player, J.J. Garrett. J.J., who is from Germany, used to talk about funk a lot. That was his favorite form of music. And he would say, it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play that makes funk. So that said, I was thinking about, Prince had a CD or an album recording, call it what you will, that was called Musicality. And in it, his very first song is very old school funk. And it is called Musicality. You can find it on YouTube or anywhere. And with that song, after I went back to hear it again for this video, I realized how close my original groove in Muse 1 was to the groove in Musicality. So here's my groove and Musicality's groove as a demo. Okay, so you can clearly see the difference between exercise and implementing music, the difference of them. So the E of 3 in my bass drum was played where he's playing the and of 3, and he's also taking the of 2 to 3 as a snare drum note. I had it as a bass drum note. So you could see that there's a difference in flavoring there. Plus, eventually he does a roll from the and of 4 to 1. Any case, look at the way that the space is used in between the notes. So obviously, funk is going to be different than jazz, which is going to be different than rock, which is going to be different than metal, which is going to be different than country, which is all different than classical, etc. Just understand that musicality comes in a variety of forms, not just taste, but also what's appropriate for the music that you're going to be playing. I mean, when you stop and think about metal players, they're really in focus on speed and power. That's what they do. Then you look at other musicians that are looking at a little bit different, like look at the Sonar series stuff with Benny Greb. He is adding so much flavor to the music, and it's all emotive that's in there. It's incredible. But then you also look at people like Mike Portnoy, Danny Carey, Gavin Harrison. They're incredible players. They do it as well, and it's appropriate for the music that they play. Therein lies a large part of musicality. Make sure what you're playing is not just emotive, but appropriate for the music you're playing. Okay. Looking back at your first exercise, where you've put the 2/4 note, the two exercises together to make a 4/4 note measure that you played with in the very first exercise video. With this one, I hope that you did more than just one of those. I hope you created a variety of them. And some of them are going to mesh with the others, some of them aren't. That's great. That's what you need to do. Now, with this one, we're going to take it just a little bit further, and you're going to create a second measure. So maybe you can marry two of yours together that you've already created so that you now have a 2-measure phrase that's repeating. So when you do that, a 2-measure phrase that repeats, you're going to have a minor fill on the 4th measure and then a bigger fill on the 8th measure. That's just the way that music works. Now you may have a fill that's going to do the whole measure. It may go between 3 and 4 and 1. It may start on the end of 2. Whatever it is, that's your call. But that's what you have to do next, is to make sure you have that second measure that complements the first measure or is part of it. Now, as you do that, you're also going to have a whole different dynamic. So the dynamics that you put in place for the first measure are going to now stretch over 2. You may have a crescendo that goes up to the end of, or to the 1 of 2, the second measure, and then back down to 1 of the first measure as it repeats. That's really all up to you, but make sure your dynamics are spread out across 2 measures. I'm not a huge fan of playing along with other drummers on recordings to hear exactly what they do. However, as we are in the learning process, it is something that's important to do. I know that's a contradiction, but it is important to do because you learn what they're doing. You hopefully are listening well enough that you can understand why they're doing what they're doing. And then at the same time, you can take what they're doing, adapt, adopt, and improve it for your style. We've talked about that as well. That said, you are in fact transcending the lessons that we've learned so far. You're going above and beyond the sheets that we've created, the 2 and 4 measure phrases, etc. We're learning what other people are doing. That's excellent. Now, especially if you're of the non-creative type or you don't feel like it's inspiring to do that. So, if you are of the inspired type and you want to take it further, I highly recommend that you download a free program called MuseScore, M-U-S-E Score, all one word. Go out and find it, because with it, you can create whatever it is you want, 4-measure phrase, in drumming or in music itself. You can create music, you can go ahead and put in chords, you can put in a melody line. You can do whatever you want to with MuseScore. It's a wonderful, wonderful program. I highly recommend it. But you can also loop it. So if you create a 4-measure phrase in MuseScore, you can loop it and just play along with it. You can develop your own style. You can develop any kind of rhythm underneath what you've created in MuseScore. It is an incredibly valuable tool. At the same time, if you're of the bent that you want to learn something, let's say Latin music, you can go in and put in a clave part that's 4 measures long and just loop it and play along with it. Fantastic tool, MuseScore. Look it up. Okay, So to recap what we've gone over so far, I'm going to basically read my notes on this so that I can make sure I don't miss anything. Let's add points of interest. In other words, flams, roughs, ghost notes, whatever it is you want to do. You take a 2-bar phrase and you apply it towards a 4 and 8-bar phrase. Make sure that you keep time by using a metronome, and to adjust your metronome. Take it at a slower pace, maybe do it around 80 BPM. If you're used to playing at 107, let's say, bump it up to 120. Play with it. Make sure you can do it. Play it over and over in both. You'll find with each different BPM, you're going to have a different feeling for it. You're going to have a different ostinato or maybe even different, cymbal work entirely. Okay, so all of that said, dynamics. Dynamics, dynamics. These are the skills that you have to have. You're applying reading, you're applying dynamics, you're applying frills, ghost notes, flams, roughs, whatever. All of that is helping you to develop the skills you need to be able to emotively express music. That's why we're going through this. That's why we're not just talking about musicality. We're talking about here are exercises for you to do. Okay. Remember, there is a big difference between being able to hit a drum or a cymbal and being a drum set musician. That's what we're trying to work on. So that's it for the second musicality video and drum set exercises. The third has a lot more coming up to it, a lot more challenges, a lot more to grow and learn through. Because that's the point of being a musician. You never stop growing, you never stop learning, you never stop improving. That's what it means to be a truly inspired musician. So, I'm not going to give away what we're doing in the next video. Just make sure you come back to it because there might be some odd times in there. There might be some different types of groups. There might be a whole bunch of different things. So please come back. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's helping you. And God bless you in your musical journey.